Hello, everyone. Welcome to Big League Dream, the podcast, a show about baseball, dreams, and family. I'm John Gonzalez, the dad, and if you're new to the podcast, it's a dad and his three sons talking about the game they love. Today, we have two of the three sons joining us, which is not unusual for this time of the year. We're recording on Tuesday, April 8th, and it's a busy baseball season for our youngest of the crew, my youngest son and the little brother of the older two, and he's busy coaching baseball. We'll talk about that in a minute. But let's introduce the two sons that are on the podcast and introduce our very special guest. We haven't had a guest in a long time, and I'm excited about that. Joining us from Charlotte, North Carolina is Zack Gonzalez. He's our Mariners fan. How you doing, Zack?
I'm doing great. Excited for our guest and our interview tonight.
Me too. Yeah, it's been a long time since we had a guest. I don't think we've had one yet in 2025, have we? Maybe one.
The Whitecaps guys.
Oh, yeah, that's true. They're just friends. We see them all the time, so that's not a big deal. But no, good. We're excited about that. And you lined up the guest, so we'll have you introduce him in a second. Let's go to Grand Rapids, Michigan for son number two. He is our Mets fan. Ty, we talked a little earlier off the air about the start of a new Whitecaps season there. Speaking of Whitecaps, how are you doing there in Grand Rapids?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm glad baseball finally started up. It felt like it was so long, but also didn't feel long at all in the same weird way. It was like baseball season just started right back up. I'm super excited for our guest tonight, though. It was fun talking off the air with Zach on how they met. So I'm really interested to hear some more.
Yeah, I agree. So let's get to it. Let's not waste any time. Zach, I know you have a good friend on today's podcast. Why don't you introduce him?
Yeah, a college baseball friend of mine, the former head coach at Pfeiffer University here in North Carolina, and then he was assistant coach at Campbell University, which is also here in North Carolina, and now he's the director of player development over at The Ohio State University. So Jordan Stampler, man, thanks for joining and taking a little bit of time to chat with us on the podcast.
I appreciate you guys having me on. I appreciate you reaching out and just asking. Also, feel like I have to throw this in there that I am a Tigers fan. Whitecaps are that's a Tigers org, right? I didn't know, because I know sometimes they shift around. So but you're kind of a Tigers fan then if you live there in Grand Rapids, as well as being a Mets fan?
Yep, exactly. I'm the Tigers farm system I'm a fan of.
Cool.
But yeah,
They've had some good
we
ones
always
recently.
all root for the Tigers.
Cool. The Mets are actually my NL team.
Nice.
But I'm like, I pull for the Tigers pretty much through and through. So got to playoffs last year, and Tarek Skubal said it's a new time for the Tigers. So we'll see if that is true.
Starting off good, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, they got swept by the Dodgers opening series, but they've been playing pretty decent since. They should be pretty good this year.
Yeah, we're excited for the new season of Tigers baseball. I'm a lifelong Tigers fan, so I was down at opening day Friday, and then I was at the Saturday game as well, and I've watched every game since then. So it's been a fun start to the season. But Jordan, we're really excited to talk to you for a lot of different reasons. You're probably also a Tigers fan because I believe there's an alum who you probably didn't coach, but you know of, Dylan Dingler, playing for the Tigers, and he went to The Ohio State University as a catcher.
Yeah. There's obviously a few guys in the big leagues who came through Ohio State. With it being my first year here at Ohio State, I haven't had the chance to meet many of those guys. There was a couple pro guys, who live still local in Columbus, who have been through the facility throughout the fall and early parts of the spring as they're kind of ramping up for spring training and stuff like that. They've been great, man. They've been really supportive of our program and their guys in the clubhouse, dudes that they played with, and just the vision for the program long term. So hopeful to continue to cultivate the relationships with those guys as they continue their pro careers, and we try to continue to get back to where Ohio State baseball once used to be. So
we'll talk a little bit more about the program in a second, but let's stick on Dylan Dingler for a few more seconds because I like this kid. I mean, he just looks like a catcher. He looks like a professional baseball player, an athlete. He also is a student of the game. He's come up, nice level, each level with the Whitecaps, and then on to AA and AAA, and he's progressed really well, and he seems like he's built to have a nice, steady, long career.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so, and I think all those guys do. Yeah, I mean, I like watching him a little bit last year and obviously early on this year. I don't see why not. He's seems to have all the tools that you need to play at that level for a very long time. From what I've heard, he's like a very durable, headsy guy. So it has the makeup and the makings of what should be a really nice major league career, and hopefully the Tigers get the production they want out of him and have a chance to have a extremely long-term catcher in Detroit.
Well, our show is Big League Dreaming, the podcast where we talk about baseball, dreams, and family. And you know what? We tried to interview different people at different points of their career. Big League Dreaming, I think we all grow up wanting to play in Major League Baseball. So we'd like to hear your story, and then Zach, pick it up where you guys first met, and because you have moved up in your life and your career, but I'm sure there have been some challenges along the way.
Yeah, no, there's always wherever you go, there's challenges. Obviously here at Ohio State, like it's a great place, awesome city, great setup, great department, great administration. We have our challenges here, just like any other program. But born and raised in Fort Lauderdale, Davie, Florida, and played high school baseball at Archbishop McCarthy down there. Pretty good high school. In fact, Nick Castellanos, a former Tiger, as you guys probably know, I played with him in high school, and the Avila family, who used to be the GM, Al Avila. I played high school baseball with his son. His older son, Alex, I want to say he graduated the year I was coming into high school, but they went to McCarthy. Have a really good relationship with the Avila family, and honestly, probably a big reason why I'm a Tigers guy. My mom's from Michigan, so I kind of grew up liking the Tigers, and then as I played with the Avilas and got to know them a little bit, it was I don't know, I have a lot of reasons to like the Tigers, I guess, and that was just another one. But yeah, born and raised in Fort Lauderdale, played at McCarthy, then went to play 2 years at the junior college level at what was Brevard Community College. It's now Eastern Florida State there in Melbourne, Florida. Played there for 2 years and then had a couple offers after that and chose to go to USC Upstate in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Played there my final 2 years and loved it, man. Loved it. And then wasn't good enough to play professional baseball. It was time to hang them up and decided I just loved the game too much to walk away. And so I tried everything I could to get into college coaching, used every resource that I could. Ended up with a job at Adrian College, just applied through, I think it was through Skipper's Dugout, it was called. I think it's still around. Applied through Skipper's Dugout and ended up getting a role at Adrian College, and came to find out that the man who ran Skipper's Dugout was also like a part-time / full-time assistant there named Aaron Klotz. And we had a really good setup at Adrian, man. It was honestly like Craig Rainey, still the head coach there and now the AD. Still have a pretty good relationship with him, and it was an awesome first gig. Like, if there's anybody in the game who works harder than he does, I would be shocked. But he taught me a lot, and just like how to work and how to go about your business and how to run a program, right? And as getting into college baseball, I think that's very important for young guys to see. And he did that with, not just the wins. Like, I think at that point they had like 10 straight league championships, and they had guys getting drafted and signing pro contracts, which at the D3 level isn't, that popular of a thing. But I didn't know what I was getting myself into. Like, D3 baseball wasn't really a thing where I was from. I was coming up to Michigan to coach D3 baseball, and I had no idea what it would look like. And guys, like, we were loaded. You know what I mean? Like, the team was stacked, the facilities were great. There was pretty high level coaching going on. Like, it was a legit setup. It was a legit setup, and like I said, I learned a ton there. 1 year there, and then I took a role as a volunteer assistant at my alma mater at USC Upstate. Coached there for 1 year. I was promoted halfway through the year, like at the semester. At the end of the fall semester, I was promoted to assistant coach. So got the opportunity to get some recruiting experience and things like that in the early parts of the spring, and then we were able to go out a little bit during the season. I was there for 1 year, and then when I left to go to Pfeiffer, my intentions were basically to go get my master's and get another degree to kind of further my coaching resume. So my plan was, was like a 2 year thing, like go to Pfeiffer, get my master's, move on with my career and see what else unfolds. And then I ended up staying there for 5 years. So my first 2 years, and my boss there was awesome. He's now the pitching coach of the St. Louis Cardinals, Dusty Blake. Again, same thing, like taught me a ton, gave me more and more responsibility. throughout my time with him, halfway through my third year, he took the pitching coach job at Duke and basically put me up to be promoted to head coach with our AD. And I was very fortunate that the AD at the time, Bob Riasso, decided to go with, I think I was 20 at the time, a 27-year-old kid to take over. And so I don't think I screwed anything up too bad. We had some really good teams there. And then 2020, which would have been our third season. It was our third season. That was when COVID hit. And I think we were 6-6 maybe when COVID struck and our season got shut down. It was tough because it was like, honestly, it was like the first time of me being at Pfeiffer that like we really had scuffled a little bit, and we had like a really talented group with some older guys. And so I was like actually really looking forward to seeing how our team would like figure some things out, like work throughout the season and just continue to grow as a team. And that's part of the beauty of coaching, is seeing how guys progress and build relationships and continue to learn and get better. And like we just didn't have that opportunity that year, unfortunately. So that spring, I guess, I talked with Justin, Coach Hare at Campbell University at the time. I mean, it was at the end of the spring, early part of the summer. They had a player development position open. We had talked, I think, a year prior about the position. It just wasn't the right timing for me and my then fiance, now wife. Just the timing wasn't right for us and that sort of thing. So when it came up the second time, we talked and, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely interested again. And it ended up working out that time around. And so went over to Campbell late in the summer in 2020, and then was there through the end of the spring 24, yeah. And then got elevated there a little bit. Like they had a third assistant position become available, I think, in my last year there. And then he asked me to come be a part of his staff here at Ohio State. So that's kind of, where we're at now. So, yeah, I feel like every time we talk about, somebody asks me about my history, at some point I'm going to forget some of these stops and, where things pivoted or whatever. So I might have to figure out like an elevator pitch for that.
No, it's good to hear the background, and it's really interesting to hear. Zach, now where did you guys meet?
Yeah, so I met Jordan at Myrtle Beach High School, just scouting a random high school baseball game. I think it might have been the Mingo Bay tournament in the summer, or in the spring. And yeah, he saw that I had the ABCA kind of lanyard on, and we just were like, this is who I am. Just you see other coaches, other scouts, and you just start talking in the stands and things like that. And then, found out quickly that he coached at Adrian and I coached at Calvin, and we had like just coached against each other during the regular season, and then in the playoffs, were eliminated by Adrian at their place. They brought in that reliever with the long hair throwing gas. I forget his name.
Tommy Yang.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of a cool moment that we're able to share together. Like, dude, I just saw you a couple months ago in Michigan, and now we're in South Carolina watching baseball.
Tommy was good. We had a few really good arms there. If I remember correctly, I think Calvin, we were loaded. We were pretty good at Adrian, and I'm pretty sure we split because we played 4-game series. It was 4 7-inning games, right?
Yeah.
And I think Calvin was the only series that year that like took 2 from us. And we were at Calvin. I remember that you guys were good. Like you played with us, and we were just kind of like in that league. I remember if you had some starters, you could very easily just take the whole series. And we had 4 really good starters and a couple nice bullpen pieces. Tommy was one of them. But yeah, I remember Calvin, I think, was the only team that beat us more than once in the regular season during a series.
Ty, I know that you had a question for Jordan because he was talking about his job now at Ohio State University, and you're kind of curious of what that is, right?
Yeah, so before we started earlier, Zach was telling me what your job was, and I was like, what? What does that exactly mean? Like, what do you do every day?
Yeah, I try to figure that out every day, Ty. Try to figure it out. No, I mean, I work a lot, I would say, with the position players, like more on the position player side of things. We have 2 guys who handle the pitchers. Our pitching coach, Tyler Robinson, and director of pitching development is Griffin Perrell. So they kind of tag team the pitchers a little bit more. I mean, I look at some of their data and like, help them if they have a question or something like that. But they're pretty well versed in all the stuff that I might be able to help with. So a lot of times, like those questions are answered before they even make them down the line to me. As far as like the position player side of things, I mean, in season, it changes a lot. Like, I don't know how pro ball necessarily works. Like, I think guys who do player development in professional baseball kind of are like constantly in that sector. You know what I mean? Like, they don't really, they're not on the field, or they're not, they don't have a position group type of thing. I think in college, like the guys who are in player development or, have a role or a title that kind of encompasses that, I think they probably do a lot more development stuff, sort of stuff in the spring, in the fall and early parts of the spring. Not that you're constantly trying to like get guys better and look at things, but my job kind of like shifts gears, if you will, in the spring a little bit when we're playing 50 plus games. And so like it's focused more on the development side. I would say it's focused more in the fall on the development side of just like, what guys' optimal swing should look like, trying to clean up their moves, trying to help them understand data. I think guys that are new to our program, or potentially new to college baseball, like, they don't understand what, good bat speed is, right? Like at a most basic level, they don't understand what their ideal launch angle might be or optimal launch angle might be. They don't understand the difference between attack angle and launch angle. And so just trying to be consistent and to the point where these guys can pull out their blast motion sensor and read a TrackMan dashboard like kind of on their own and give them like a basic understanding of some of that stuff, all the while like trying to build the backside of it to like further their development, right? To optimize their development unique to individual, right? So like not every guy has to swing 80 miles an hour, not every guy should hit the ball in the air type of thing. And we recruit different types of players for a reason. And so it's in our opinion, on our staff, it's ideal to train them in a way that's most advantageous to that individual. So yeah, I mean, I would say it's a lot of that in terms of development, just setting up the right environments, giving them the right tools to be able to enhance their careers to the best of their ability, which is unique across, all 20 hitters. And then when the spring hits, man, I would say it's a little more hands off in terms of like that day-to-day, grinding and, swing changes. It focuses more on like approach and, what the arm is and what tool they might have to try to play today, where you start to, like, we've built up their vocabulary and their language to understand like, hey, this is a ride heater and your feel on this might be X, right? And so just trying to get guys to understand that and work through those problems in the fall. So that way in the spring, it can kind of click a little bit quicker. So when they bring in like, a sinker slider guy out of the pen, they know it's a little bit different than the carry heater guy that just exited the game. So I think really all that, and then kind of just like shifting it into the spring where now it can focus more on coaching and trying to game plan and situational type baseball, more through and through, I think is kind of how our job changes, I would say from season to season. And then when we flip into the summer, we'll have a little bit of time off at the end of the year, like a week or so. But then, we'll have guys who stay on campus and train, and we'll have, newcomers that come into the program. And in the past at Campbell, it's been a really, my past 4 years at Campbell, that's been a really big deal for us. Just getting to know the guys and getting to build relationships with them. They get to get into the weight room with our strength guy and start to get acclimated there. And, I think our goal with those guys in the summer is just like watch them. Right? Like not instruct, not, they're going to roll the machines out and like hit on their own, all of it voluntary. Like we can't be around, but, just see them around the facility, familiarize them with all the resources that we have and how we could be available to them. And then again, just start to build that relationship with the new guys and the guys that were in the program. Just make sure they're planning and working on the right stuff consistently throughout the summer.
Again, folks, you're listening to Big League Dream, the podcast, a show about baseball, dreams, and family. I'm John Gonzalez, along with co-hosts Ty Gonzalez and Zack Gonzalez. We're talking to Jordan Stampler. He is the Director of Player Personnel and Development at Ohio State University. Jordan, I have a long question for you, so I'll try to make it as brief as possible. But you said something about after your playing days were over, you realized you weren't going to make it to the next level, and you had to make a decision, right? What you're going to do next. Baseball was in you couldn't give it up. And I look at my three sons here that all played college baseball, Ty, Zach, that are on the podcast, and then Zane, who's the youngest one that's still coaching. He's in baseball. They all had to make decisions. And there are a lot of people listening to this podcast that are in the same boat. Their playing days are over. Very few can make it up to that major league level, right? Getting drafted, let alone rising up to the system, getting a cup of coffee, staying in the major leagues. I mean, it gets harder and harder as you get further up the ladder, right? And you've got to make a decision. The game's in you. You want to keep playing. You want to be around it. You might start, get married, raise a family. Do you go coach high school ball? Do you try to coach, youth ball? I mean, there's just all these things that you could follow in your path, right? What made you say, you know what? I got to do this. I got to stick with this baseball game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, first off, John, I may have misspoken. You repeated it, so that's why I'm going to talk about it first. But I knew my dreams of playing professional baseball were probably over the second day in junior college. You know what I mean? As you just said, right? Like you move up a level. Like I went to good junior college baseball in Florida, and I'll never forget this, man. But the first league weekend that we played, we faced two dudes that ended up being on big league rosters. Jarrell Cotton I think he made it up with the Oakland A's. I was at Miami-Dade, and they had a kid named Derek Law, and they were throwing on Friday and Saturday. Derek Law ended up pitching in the big leagues for the Giants. He might still be in the big leagues. They might both be, for all I know. And that experience, I was like, crap. There was drafts all over that league. Corey Spangenberg was at Indian River, and Brian Goodwin was playing center field at Miami-Dade, and like it was stupid how much talent you see. And like I played pretty good level high school baseball, and I thought I was one of the better players, and I'm playing alongside Nick Castellanos. You know what I mean? Like somewhere along the way you start to read the room a little bit, and you're like, yeah, I don't know if I have the ability, just the genetic ability to do it, right? And so it was kind of like a very eye-opening experience early on in junior college. And honestly, man, like I feel like I was super fortunate to be able to play at the Division I level. Like I'm undersized, not a great runner, not a great arm, not great bat speed. Like in hindsight, I don't know why anybody would recruit a 5'8", maybe middle guy, probably more of a corner, third baseman. The guys who recruited me gave me a shot. And like I think I played pretty good baseball at that level, but you start to see these guys around you and you're like, this guy's got more tools. He's got more speed. They all throw hard, right? They all throw hard. And that's only, at our level, continuing to get better and better and better. So yeah, like that was first. The second piece, John, like, I don't know that I had much of an option. And I say that like somewhat facetiously, but like, I don't know. Like when I was finished, so after my senior year, I basically had like a 1 month period of time after our tournament, the ASUN tournament was over, where I had to finish. I think I had one class to graduate. And so I was taking like this summer course and working at this like little surplus store to make some money. And I was like, there is no shot that I'm cut out for like a 9 to 5 or like a job, just a job for the rest of my life. Like, so I say like that I didn't really have any options. Like I was going to coach baseball, and I didn't know exactly where or what level or how I would get my foot in the door in college. And there was a lot of figuring out and asking questions and, like I said, like using resources. Like, I mean, I think I talked to Justin Hare, who had just recently become the head coach at Campbell around that time, like about, what do I have to do? Like, how do I get my foot in, like all those sorts of things. And like I said, I was like super fortunate to end up getting that job at Adrian. And from there, it kind of just like opened up an entire new world, of just networking and people. But, yeah, I say I didn't really have any options because like I knew I wanted to coach. I knew I wanted to stay in it some way, somehow, to some degree. And so that was what I was going to do. And, I'm super blessed and fortunate to have the opportunities that I've had.
Well, Zane is still coaching. He's down at Indiana University at South Bend, and he is the associate head coach over there. So he obviously said the same thing. I'm going to coach. I don't know what's going to happen, but that's what I'm going to do. Ty, you had a similar experience to Jordan, right? You played 2 years of college baseball at a pretty good program there in Kalamazoo Valley, and then you got a chance to play in the Northwinds League in the summer, and you had an eye-opener there, right, Ty?
Yeah, a lot like you, Jordan. Kind of like on my first couple days in community college too, just seeing a couple guys throwing in the 90s and kind of like, all right, I'm the bullpen catcher now. This is not, I'm not used to this. I'm usually the star guy, but Yeah, when I had the opportunity to play 2 weeks in Northwoods and all these guys are drafted and throwing way harder and running way faster, it's like, all right, yep, I don't stand a chance against these guys. This is a different level. This is a lot different.
Have two like you have two options. Like I'll never forget, man, like the first day I got to upstate, I went to the cages just by myself to get some swings in, thinking like I would be the only guy. My junior college, like we weren't very good, but like you'd go to the cages and there might be one other guy, getting some swings in, and there was like 6, 7 dudes down there sweating like they've already done some infield work and like they're getting swings in now. And it was like kind of the same eye-opening experience is like, you get to levels like that and like everybody's as talented, if not more talented, right? And then there's some separators like the mental edge and work ethic and how strong and physical guys are. Like, but yeah, man, like I don't say it to say like I shied away from it because I think you have two options. It's sink or swim, right? And like I believe that I kind of like maxed out what I was given and blessed with, and I put everything I had into the game, and I wasn't like hurt or anything like that to say like I should have got a pro opportunity. Like there were better players on my team that didn't get shots or, a free agent deal, and like they hit better than me, they threw harder than me, like the whole bit, and they weren't getting, calls from scouts or teams or anything like that. So like, yeah, I mean it's I don't know, it's humbling for sure, but like at the same time, like you start to realize like yeah, there's definitely players that are just like better.
And Zach, you had 2 great years at Jackson College, and you were a starter, and you're going, okay, I'm 6'4", and maybe I don't have the velocity yet. Maybe it's still maybe. And you're a young player for your grade, so there's still room to increase velocity, and you're always a smart pitcher. You probably thought, okay, I'm going to go to 2 years at Davenport, and who knows what happens from there. Maybe I'll develop, and the velocity will come along, and maybe I still have a shot. But you found out that's tough, right? Tough to make that transition.
Yeah, I was a starter my junior year, and I just remember, facing Madonna, like these hitters are very good, and yeah, transitioned into the bullpen my senior year, kind of like a long reliever, and just had a blast. Because once you realize, okay, this is probably going to be it, you make the most of every single time you get to touch that mound or touch that field, because there will come a day where you won't get to play anymore. But yeah, definitely fortunate and blessed to be able to have the careers that we did, because being able to play college baseball, not everybody is blessed with that opportunity. So definitely thankful. And Jordan, we want to respect your time. We're not going to keep you too late. We thank you again for chatting with us during the season, your college season. So it's awesome that you're able to chat with us. But I was
hoping we get a little West Coast chat, and we were out there on USC time, and then I was like, I could probably do like 11. It would be like 11 p.m. your time.
Yeah, when you're at USC, and I was like, yeah, I don't think my dad's gonna make 11 p.m. Sorry.
Barely make it now. Zach, anything you want to ask?
Yeah, I want to take it back to the Pfeiffer days when you were the head coach. I want to ask, like, what are some things you miss about being a head coach, and what are some things that you don't miss about it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the experience of like just being able to quote unquote like call the shots, right? It's cool. It's cool, it's unique, it's different. Like you kind of feel like you run the show in some respect. Like it's your say, and you have standards and things that you believe in, and it really should all come from the top down. Like exactly the same as how we've aligned our stuff, how Justin has it set up at Campbell and here at Ohio State. Not to say that like assistant coaches don't have buy-in or don't have, say in a lot of different things, but ultimately like it's your decision or not, right? And that's, I think there's some beauty in that. I would say like on the flip side of it, it's exactly that, right? It's that you have the final say and the final decision, and on a lot of different things. And like every time Coach Hare asks us about like weather, I'm like, hey man, I don't envy you what you have to do one bit right now. There's certainly some appreciation for it, but like making calls on like, is it going to rain? Is it not going to rain? Should we push it back 30 minutes? Do we move it up an hour? Like, what's the best plan here? some of those things are not very fun to deal with. And yeah, I don't know. I would say there's probably more good than bad. I think probably the thing I like more about being an assistant, or in an assistant's role, I think you have an opportunity to have, believe it or not, I believe like a better relationship with your players. And like, I like working with guys, man. Like I like hitting in the cages. I like, I just like watching them hit, watching them swing. I like seeing them kind of like navigate through problems and problem solve and helping them along that process. And when you're the head coach, like you probably have the time. Like I don't like saying that you wouldn't have time for it. Like you could make the time to do it, but guys don't ask you as much. They don't ask they don't head guy, hey, can you come to the cage? Hey, can we get some swings? And hey, can we get some ground balls? Like that door isn't knocked on near as much. Like your cell phone isn't getting text at 11 p.m. to hit tomorrow. And I don't know, there's probably like some hierarchy thing there where kids don't want to, bat down the head coach's office and ask them to get ground balls and things like that. And I get it. But at the same time, like, you kind of wish they would. You kind of wish they would because, like, I guarantee, man, there's no place that Justin Hare would rather be than in the cages, 2 or 3 hours before practice versus, making sure everything on our budget is right for the upcoming weekend or something. And that's the stuff that, like, as a head coach, like, yeah, you have to deal with, and it's going to fall into your lap. So you have to make sure it's, it's done correctly. But at the same time, like you lose something for it. And that's why you have good assistants, right? You have good guys around you to make sure those guys are taken care of. But, yeah, there's definitely some pieces that you don't love doing and you have to do as you're in that seat. But then there's other pieces that are definitely more enjoyable. For why we all get into coaching, right? Is like to coach players, right? To work with guys and develop relationships and build men. I just feel like you usually have a better opportunity, across your entire roster to do that with each individual as an assistant, I believe. So I don't know, maybe a little different take, but that's what I think.
All right, Jordan. Well, thank you so much for your time. Like Zach said, we want to respect your time. We know you've got family and stuff like that. So we all do, and other things going on. So thank you very much. Hopefully the team can put it together here this season and, make a run somewhere in the Big Ten. A lot of teams in the Big Ten these days, right?
A lot of teams, yeah. We're working relentlessly to get better and better each day and every practice. So got some things to clean up as we always do. And, we've played some good baseball and we've played some bad baseball and played in a bunch of close games. And I think it's like, 2 or 3 little things in each game that kind of ends up being the determining factor. And it might happen in the second or third inning, so just trying to continue to have a high attention to detail, with those things and continue to put our guys in the best positions to win. Because I think our best days are ahead of us with this group. I think we play 19 of our last 25 are at home. So if you guys are in Columbus, give me a holler.
Fun.
That's a Midwest schedule for sure.
No
We on the
kidding.
road a bunch early, man. And then just the way the early conference shook out for us, we were at Indiana opening weekend and Iowa week 2. And then we had Oregon at home and then out to USC. So just the way it shook up this year. And we have Minnesota coming in here this weekend. And then we go to Michigan State and we're at home a bunch at the back end. So, yeah.
Great. All right, Ty, is anything you want to add or you want to wrap things up for us?
Yeah, real quickly, I got one last question for you. As a guy that played JUCO and D1, what's something about JUCO ball that people don't appreciate that much?
About me or just about it?
Just JUCO ball in general.
JUCO ball in general. It's probably cliche, man, but there's some dirty grinders in JUCO, man. There's some
Ballers.
there's some, at Campbell we had a lot of junior college kids. Like at Pfeiffer, I tried to get as many of them as I could. They're a little bit different, man. They play with, I think, more guys who come from JUCO, from the junior college world. Like they have a little bit of edge. Usually they're a little bit under recruited coming out of high school. It ain't pretty most of the time where they're playing at in junior college. So they get to a place like Campbell or they get to a place like Ohio State and they have a ton of appreciation, for getting there. And I think those guys, it just carries on to the field for them, man. Like it just, the way they play and the effort that you see from them, generally speaking, the effort that you see from them, day in and day out is a little bit different. And I mean, I think it's like, it's cliche, like I said, but I feel like there's the guys who want it, man, and you could tell because there's some bad apples in junior college baseball too. And I played with quite a few of them at my time at Brevard, but you either sink or swim, man. And like, if you find a way to get out and like you have your head on straight and you have a vision for what you want to do, and you got a shot to move on to the next level, like wherever that's at, whether it's USC Upstate or, Calvin College or wherever, man. Like, I think those guys have like a real appreciation for like getting through a year or two at junior college to have an opportunity to play at the next level.
Love it.
All right, Ty, why don't you wrap us up? And again, Jordan, thank you for joining us here on Big League Dreaming, the podcast, and we hope you have much success in the future, and hopefully we'll have you back on again.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys asking me. And if you guys need some way cooler stories than me, don't like Zach, just feel free to reach out. I can get you in touch with some other coaches or people maybe in pro ball, something like that.
That'd be great, man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Ty, take it away.
All right, thanks for listening, everyone. You can follow us on TikTok at Big League Dreaming. We're also on YouTube, Big League Dreaming, the podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to your podcast. Be sure to check out new episodes Saturdays, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll catch you all next week.
Bye, everyone.